Hello guys. This time I did test my internet. Hopefully it doesn't fuck again. And just context for the VOD watchers. I tried yesterday as well, but my internet fucked itself, so I had to delete that VOD. It only lasted like 30 minutes anyway, and half of a game that obviously ended up being a loss anyway, because I wasn't there. And it definitely could have been won. I watched the history on that game. That was definitely a very winnable game if I didn't get fucked over, so unfortunate. But shit happens. Seems to just be a one-day thing. I was gonna call my internet provider today, because by the time I was gonna call them yesterday, it was already outside of their, I guess, support times. So, yeah. Whoops. I still have that. Oh. I think I can finish this today. Probably. I don't even know what to watch after this. I'm tempted to actually watch the latest Worlds. Just to see how the meta was. Like, I obviously hadn't played competitive and I don't even know how fucking long. My longest break was essentially from when I last left till when I came back in Season 11. Because I left from like Season 5 or some shit like that. Sometimes I would be back just to play some ranked here and there, but that just doesn't really mean I really understood what the fuck was happening, so I might just watch the last Worlds just to see it. I don't know who won though, so that's the only like unfortunate part. There won't really be a big surprise on who actually ended up winning. But that's okay. I'm actually surprised we gave the tier away again with how much it did. But I guess we just didn't want to give anything else away that was just potentially more of a problem. But that tier almost solo carried the last game, so still kind of surprising. Dude, that AMC burst is so insane as well. Holy moly. I mean, combined with a gap, obviously, with a double CC initiation also helps, but so much damage output. I really do wonder how AMC would be in Smite 2. I think he would be very easy to kill, but I still think the Cripple has that, like, insane, like, turnaround potential. He just has such a good turnaround potential kit. Wow, that was a lot of detonate damage. I also don't have boots online yet. Like, I probably don't do any damage at this point. It is funny to see how much the solo laner can rotate, though, at this point, because there just isn't really much to take. I mean, at worst case scenario, you lose one wave. There isn't really much risk in doing it, and if you get a kill out of it or win a team fight, it is by far worth it than staying in your lane. Like, if you leave solo now, you're gonna fall 3 levels behind. What do you mean? The fuck, man? I see your messages. You got the certified stalker badge. Messaging me the second I log online, thinking I'm gonna stream. You didn't even know I'm gonna stream. How did you know, huh? Is that the one that says VIP? Are you just fishing for VIPs in every chat? You do this to everyone? Is fishing a hobby of yours? Very bored. Fair enough. No. Okay, it wasn't a solo kill actually. That's fine. Check the user list. Wait, what user list? I see Twitch is still doing that weird thing. Well, it would just randomly jump up in viewers. It's really strange. It's a viewer list for every channel on Twitch. Oh, you're checking if I like have my window open, but I always have the window open. Aren't I always? I guess I don't know when it would show up. Because I always have it open. But fair. Still kind of stalker behavior, but that's okay. No, dude, people aren't banning, man. Right now, I wish that was just pick this character and you will win solo for sure. Kind of type of character. While that kind of is, none of them lasts until late game. I'll play Cyrus. Another Cyrus. Yorm. Do a Yorm game. Still a lot of acne damage considering Suicide is too active. I would really like to know the numbers on Zeus 2 back then. I can probably find it somewhere, but... Because outside of giving you a shit ton of movement speed, I kind of forgot the other stats on the Zeus 2. It's totally. That was a period of time I do queue with him. Anatoly he quit pretty early too. Like he quit about the same time as I did, I think. Maybe a bit before. I think this was the last tournament he was truly a part of, and then he became a high res employee. Do what I must, do what must be done to earn the VIP badge. Oh, the dog wants to play. It's bad time, doggo. It's a bad time. I'm in the middle of something here. Oh, dude, stop grouping for the fearless, man. Late beats as well. Oof. Run, lobster, run. This UI was a little weird because when it goes to team fight, uh, like mode, it just shows the fully like combined health bar of all teams, both teams, I should say. That's a bit strange, I think. I'd rather just see individual health. Apparently, he streamed last month. I mean, I hope he's doing well. Uh, what do I build into this? I mean, I guess Bologna is pretty rough. Not really ideal. Don't really think I need anything specific though, so I'll just go Sunder. So we have that for late game. I think I just heard a word. What if you'll remember him? It was like 4 years ago. That was a time I didn't play Smite, I think. I was doing some other shit at the time. Wait, 4 years ago. So I was 26. I was probably still doing nothing. The fuck was I doing 4 years ago? Okay, dude. Of course we have of course we do. Bots is just AFK, bro. Pause. You're probably right, actually. I think I was playing WoW at the time. I don't think I was being annoying with Death Grip, though. Because I didn't really PvP. WoW PvP never really hit it for me. I tried a few times, but no. That shit was more imbalanced than Smite 2. Don't know why bots took my blue as well. Would have liked the solo XP, but oh well. Surely 2 is better than 1 in this game? I don't think so. Because he's a fully box character in solo. You just pop the 1 every time you try to box someone, and you just use it as a shield. You stand in it, they can't really walk in because they'll just take more damage, and yeah. I play around the pools in every single scenario, even more so into a Bologna. See, then I just keep my distance, and well, maybe I shouldn't fight when he has ult and I don't. That was a mistake. I don't have my ult. Fuck, I forgot. I just got ulted by or fucked by Thor. Okay, well I fucked up. Mistakes were made. It was fine until he held up. Also weird lags. Was that the new ult that made me lag? Or actually, maybe it was the Shibbolunki ult. Something dropped my frames. But my main issue with the 2 as well is that it fucking takes a million years to use. It's so slow. It doesn't feel good, I think. And if you're not planning on playing around the pools, you should just go Aspect. And just be full tank. It can't even reach the full wave, man. I hate this ability right now. I actually really want to fight this Bologna, now that he doesn't have an ult. Shit. I guess my bots is bad. That really sucks. His ult's back up. Oh my god, dude. I hate Bologna. Why is it up again? Oh my god. I'm so fucked. Thank fuck he dies finally. He should be really easy to kill too. I do think Bologna is probably the worst thing I can meet with this character. It's the one character that I don't think I can beat in lane as well. Once she gets items online, it just becomes impossible. Fudge. Where's the one give? I think it's just pure protection. But I haven't tried the aspect yet. Vivas told me a while ago that he thinks it's really good. And that it was really OP, but we haven't really seen it much. Well, I no longer want to die, so I will try to not fight him as much. I'm gonna wait for my Sunder to be up. I'm just gonna have to keep my distance for now. I think maybe there's a slight chance that I can 1v1 when I finish Mystical Mail. But only during that period as I finish it, because the second he finishes Vital Lamp and or the other Reptilian item, I'm absolutely fucked. So whether the 2 hitbox is bugged? Maybe. It definitely feels weird in Smite too. It's the only ability that just feels off to me. But my main issue with it is just you're locked in animation for so long. Like, that ability is why I hate playing Hades in Smite 1. You were just locked into animation for way too long playing the character itself. It sucks. I hate it. I feel like I can't play the game half the time I'm playing the character. So I just fucking hate pressing this ability. Alright. I want to back off. Finish Mystical Mail with this back. Oh, okay, dudes. Why is Thor alt silent, man? Why is it silent? Hi-Res, why are you smoking, man? Why can I not hear it? I'm listening for it. I'm like, he's baiting. Okay, he's clearly baiting. They want to dive me. Why can't I hear it? I hate it. Oh my god. Man. Also, I think I will go Spectral just to down... Actually, no. Wait. I can do way better than that. I'm absolutely gonna go for an early Contagion. Fuck him up when he heals. I will... You know what? I'm building fully against this Bologna. I don't even care. They only have Nuwa damage anyway. One magic side. I don't care. Ult will hurt, but I can heal it back up. This is getting personal. Ah, blue stop. Doved me, but didn't take my blue. Nice person. Appreciate it. He backed. That was kind of my window of opportunity to see if I could win a 1v1 while I finished my item. Wait, we ain't getting them. Oh, he went... Okay, he has breastplate. Or not breastplate. Berserker shield. Okay. That was a little bit of an in-play, but I'll fucking take it. It makes it so much easier for me that he went Berserkers, man. If he goes full lifesteal, I'm fucking cooked. Maybe I don't have to fully build against him then. Don't worry, I still will, but not fully. Yeah, I get you, Nectura. Like people playing the same stuff right now. There are a few picks where I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. It pisses me off. Bellona is one of them, but that's also just because she's so hard to deal with on for pretty much almost any character in solo, and she uses just the most OP annoying build to deal with. Um, and she just like I don't know, she just doesn't have a bad matchup right now, surprisingly, which isn't okay. In terms of meta picks, she doesn't have a bad matchup. If you play something really weird into it, then yeah, sure. You can definitely like I've had great success playing shit like Poseidon into it because I have a lot of self peeling and I can just build a bit tanky, and then she can't really kill me. But I have to play some weird shit like to fully just counterpick it to actually beat it. And even then, I'm not really beating it per se. I'm just surviving. Just going back here. Yeah, subbing is really good into Bologna, but yeah, definitely just the lane thing. Absolute dog shit when it comes to outside of laning. I'd rather go further than not far enough. Man, the solo ruin, man. The fuck? That was a good solo kill. Why are you gonna fuck it up? Did they get gold as well? I don't even know. I think we got gold. Someone got gold. Ah, fuck. I should have checked if his blue is up. It's not. My 3 actually reveals whether things are up or not. That's nice. Didn't know that. I wonder if I can check red over the wall then. If it's up. Bell on tilt. Then all things are as they should be. Nasty Bologna players. Blech. I have learned my lesson though. I will not fight him unless my ult is up. I need a way to get out in case he fucks me over. It's Bologna. I'm pretty sure he can always 1v1 me. If he plays it correctly. So I just won't make that mistake again. No, okay, so it doesn't reveal over walls. Guan would win as well if it was decent. Not anymore, I think. I think right now, Bologna's problem is just that she uses the new items so very well. She's so good with lifesteal and these hybrid attack speed items that they've recently added. If she wasn't healing as much, she would have the clear counter again. It's just right now she will turn on you and heal to full. In a not balanced way. I'll let him back. Man, I want to go for red. I saw it spawned. It's too late. I probably do need a hybrid item in some way for the new one. Uh-oh, this is not looking good anymore. Brother, we gotta get the Sobek at least. Yeah, that sucks. Would have liked to grab a little Thor kill there too, but what can you do? Oh. Shouldn't have tried to help, I suppose. Do think Sanguine is too good on a character like this to ignore. It just gives him so much extra damage. I'm kind of building around being literally in their face anyway with Mystical Mail, so might as well get the other one. We do have Vulcan support as well, which does make it tough to peel. He just doesn't have any peeling for someone like a Thor. He can maybe peel up Bellona if he lands a good 3, but that's it. I think it's time we start grouping and actually do objectives. We have a good team, but right now we're just getting picked for no reason. And that shit ain't good. Did I miss the wave? I fucking did. Let's finish this damn item so I can get stacking. I need my 3 stacks for when I go all in. I'm smelling that this game might be pretty tough though. I fear Bellona. We have a really bad combat dealing with a Bellona. Not to mention a Thor, because of the lack of peeling on this team. I just have to dive their backline better than they're diving mine, I guess. And that will be hard, because Numa can peel me off very easily. Surely we win the fight back there. We're not. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be real fucking hard. Get him, butts. Get him. And Belonative. Let's try. Oh, he actually got him. Nice. Do you think if you were board Gamehunter5, would you have had some success in Smite? I don't think so. I don't think my board game skills would help me in Smite, to be honest. That's also the fact that I'm tremendously terrible at them. And I don't know if Rip Talon works with the Yorm. I'm down to try in this game, because I actually have a decent build to make it work. That being said, I don't know if that is the play right now. I have trouble just sticking to them in this game. I knew was probably one of the most annoying mages I could have met playing this character. Run it back for this upgrade at least. Don't go up, boys. I beg of you. I really enjoy the vision this gives. Like a lot. It's actually so fun to me. Holy moly, dude. Why are they centering so much? Why are we not going in when they're all pretty low? Maybe I did go slightly too deep, but I mean, come on, man. If that's not a good opportunity, then what the fuck is? They're still low. Why? I mean, I get why we're scared, because we have a fucking Vulcan support. But still. The only initiate we have is bots, and it doesn't have ult. I mean, fuck it. I have nothing else to lose. Rip Talon it is. Wait, he does have ult? Oh, it's just visually glitched then. I can't see when bots is ult or not. That's really annoying. That's the most important ult in our team. That's the one thing I want to know if it's up. Yeah, I think it's probably over anyway. If we had an actual support, I think we win this for free. 3 of them are running around with no HP left, and Vulcan is running around in mid doing fuck all. And their comp is just better than ours as well because of it. Once again, no one can really deal with the Bellona very well. That's huge. Maybe I just try and play around the Merlin more. What's our team comp? It's just gotta stop the Golden Blade. No, man, I like it in solo. It helps my early game. But yeah, maybe I try something else. I like it though. I like my Golden Blade. I love the 200 HP. I suppose Conch have like what, 150? Maybe that could work too. I don't know if I like this call. Aren't they just watching us? Alright, we're done. That's not good. That's all our damage gone. At least we got something out of it. I was about to say, like, how did Thor not die as well? He was 1 HP somewhere in the back. 300, I thought. They might have nerfed it at some point. It's 250. Okay, there we go. It's actually more health than Golden Blade. Holy shit. Chills. I just gotta stop going too deep. I need to stop trying to sacrifice myself for a single pick. It ain't worth it. And Yorm's all this ass to finish off targets, so. I gotta stop it. Shit simply ain't worth it. Open! Oh my god, how are we losing to Bellona alone, man? This is exactly what I meant. We can't kill the Bellona with this comp. And Vulcan just died and got caught. They might have just inted though. Maybe they don't end here. Oh my god. Maybe we've entered, maybe they end anyway. Nice plays from bots. Timing ran out. I mean, he's hitting the things, but it doesn't really matter because it does 50 damage. Get him, Vulcan. Get him. I mean, if Fire Minion is anything to go by, Reptile might work on Yorm. That's a lot of damage. Could stack up pretty fast. I definitely did a lot of damage to the Nua. I don't really think this is particularly good. Maybe I can actually deal with the Xbalanque. Xbalanque is 1 HP somewhere. Fuck, dude. His 3 finished me off? That's so tragic. 200 damage out of my 4k finished me off. Normally I would also have Anemia in here instead, which would probably just be better than Ripton. Hmm. What is he building? He's building all this as well. I think I should. It's either do this or save for a 3k pot, but I think I need to actually go for survivability. This is just one of those games that's decided by a single fight, because now there are just vulnerable phoenixes on both sides. The amount of fucking sentries they have is wild to me, though, for just a normal rank game. Didn't get the Sopic, and I didn't want to Sunder in case they went fire, but I don't know, dude. I kind of did it again. I thought that was okay for me, though. How much did Nuwa do to me? A lot. Fuck, dude. How is Nuwa the main problem for me now? That's so annoying. Oh my god, we're missing Medusa ults. Oh no, dude. At least they daggered and they didn't get it, but... Vulcan can also bait their time a lot. I actually think that fight could have ended up okay if Medusa didn't miss too much in the end, but like I can't fully blame him either, because he's playing without a support and just with just no peeling. It's been a rough game for my backline. I think Merlin has been playing okay too. He's maybe taken a bit too many Thorolds, but it's obviously not really fully on him either. My main fucking problem is that I'm always alone when I go in. If I have bots with me, I think we just kill them all, but on the other side of that whole thing, I understand why Bots is struggling too, because he's the only initiate we have, because we have Yorm and Vulcan frontlines. None of us can initiate. This just sucks. Our comp is shit. It's that simple. And it's mainly shit because we just have bad gods, to be real. Like our dual lane, Medusa and Vulcan, are just not really good characters in their roles at the moment. I'm getting this 3k pot before they show up. Ah shit, which one do I go with? Guess I'll go Int. Since I feel like I'm fucking ability based at this point. That's actually huge. Go in, guys, if you can. We have 60 seconds. We can at least get a right Phoenix. Okay, whatever. I guess we're going mid. And now we lose because people don't have comms on, I guess. Like, dude, they're literally spawning in fucking 5 seconds. Why are we going in that tight here? All we had to do was just push up right. Fuck the tier 1 and mid, or tier 2. I don't give a fuck about that. Just get the Phoenix in right, then we get the fuck out. Now we just end. They just end. Dude, what a stupid game, man. The thing is, I'm not gonna sit and say this guy was bad, because he wasn't. He just picked a useless character. If we have peeling this game, we win for free. But I guess it shouldn't be that easy. I did so much damage in these fights too, but I did definitely misplay it by going a bit too deep at times. It was an alright game though. Like, I'll kind of take this. It was decently back and forth. I don't think it was a shit game. It's just unfortunate that our comp was as bad as it was in terms of initiation and peeling. Just CC in general, actually. We could maybe have made up for it if we had a stun bots and not a normal bots, but that's not really on bots overall. I think he played well. Man, why did my solo pick Kronos this game? Of course he's gonna lose this lane. I'm banning Bologna now. I'm back to banning Bologna. Fuck that. Because it's so hard for me to beat in lane, and my team can deal with it later. So get it out in these types of games. Hey, look at who that is. There's a Nectura in my game. What country is Youngbei from? He was English. An Englishman. Oh, he was Malaysian? Was he living in England? Maybe that's where I get it from. It's been too long. My bad, Youngbei. Sorry, bro. Oh, no. Oh, no. I don't know why I thought he was English. Now I feel like an asshole. He spoke really good English, at least. That's all I remember. Maybe that's why. Oh, tragic. Just a gap diff. Pretty sure he lived in the UK. Okay, I think that's it then. I guess I just assumed he was. Boom. Surely he dies here. Yeah? No? Yes? No? Oh. Detonate? Yeah. Actually, watching this makes me realize how, like, quote unquote, better I think Zeus is to play now, because you get the Chain Lightning or another stack off of your 2. Bro, where's my solo, man? Why is he rotating? What the fuck? You lost tower for no reason, idiot. Why you admit? How bad is your SR that you're in my match? I have 5k, so no one else is playing, I guess. It's not that bad. Played one game of Smite yesterday. It felt awful. Yeah, that was against me, right? That was the On Her game you played. I did like 2 or 3 games last night as well. Just average, like average late night weekend queues. Pretty rough. Oh, I played one set game. I see. Oh, on PTS. Oh, Smite 1. Oh, I wasn't reading. Smite 1 yesterday. I haven't gone back. I think I played 1 a long time ago when Raw. That was before Raw came out in Smite 2. And I played Raw in Smite 1 in an arena game. That's all I've done in recent times. What felt bad about it? Shit, I need to buy something. Is this the second game in a row by the jungler is AFK early? Oh my god. Alright, at least the pause went through. Like it felt with delay on everything, less responsive. Yeah. That's also kind of what I felt too. Like Smite 2 is just a lot more clean and smooth to play. It's just unbalanced as fuck. Like it would be such a good game to play if they just fixed the unbalancedness of the game. I really think so. They have a really good recipe with Smite 2. I just really hope that they can pick up their shit and balance it out a bit better. Your multiplayer? Right now, yeah. I like Yorm right now, but right now I also just want to play something where I have an impact on the game. And the best way for me in Soul right now to have an impact at the game with how shit it feels is to actually win my lane so hard that I can rotate early. That's the best way that I can do it. And just farm rocks as well. So I have to pick shit like Yorm, Mordred, maybe Bologna. Something like that. Maybe a CERN as well. Could maybe do some Aspect CERN. I haven't played that in a little while. I just want something where I have an impact. I didn't even see him. I should have just sundered. I forgot to sunder. And now I wasted it. Shouldn't matter. I should still win this laning phase very easily. What is this lobby, bro? Why is the Loki here at level 2? What the fuck? Okay. Also, I forgot what to buy anyway. I'm just gonna go fucking mystical now, I guess, into... I wanted to try the conch, as Vivas was saying. I'll try it. Whatever. Bro, I'm still same in XP. I should be completely fine here. Yeah, come in. Did he just fucking sunder me? Yeah, I'm not going Golden Blade this time. I'm going for Conch. See how that feels. What? How did that not reach? He was in the circle. Okay, I just got fucking scammed. Let's make sure Loki doesn't fucking show up again. That's some fucking horseshit I'm going through right now. I ain't losing any farm. I think I'm losing farm though, because my minions aren't hitting it. Dude, this build's gonna look great. Look how it looks. Look at it. How much do I need to finish it? Okay. 13. And I'm going straight for the rocks here. I'm not, because the Scylla is gonna be there. That's fucking tragic. Oh my god, Loki! He took my blue buff as well. Okay, dude. This game is a joke right now. I think they know who I might be. There's 3 people in right, guys. We gotta do something else on the rest of the map. Like, I'm level 6, bro. I'm so far ahead in this lane. Sundered me again. Yes, ult me. That is a great idea, I think. Because I'm definitely not immune. Call for help more, asshole. Send your whole team. I'll be ready. At least just wait an item or two, I think. Don't do it now. I can feel this game bringing out the gremlin in me. On the other hand, if I can't carry this game, though, I don't deserve to win anymore anyway. Surely I can carry this. Give me these rocks. I was trying to see if he could get the kill for himself. He couldn't. No, I think you're right, though. I think Conjure is way better on him as an early item. Golden Blade feels nice, too, I think, but that's just for, like, the wave clear, and you already have wave clear, so you might be onto something. My blue is up. I'm gonna take his. Loki, are you there? He's not. It's not even up. When the fuck does his blue spawn? I'm saving my center for it. Smite 1 was always sluggish, but I think it's become really apparent now that Smite 2 has been a thing. Because like the sluggishness of Smite wasn't a bad thing originally, but now I cannot play the same game. Alright, you can get the tower minions. I'll rotate for this, actually. Nice. It was 5 HP left, bro. I guess I should have used my 2 or some shit instead. That's so tragic that he actually got that. Scylla single-handedly keeping them in the game right now. It sucks that Scylla is the one that's an issue, because she's definitely the one that would be the hardest for me to deal with as Yorm. I just can't really avoid any of her abilities very easily. Let's just get this early now. Get it over with. We got the Scylla and the Loki though. I'll take the trade. This game is more than likely also a board game. So I have some kind of escapability. Arguably should have done that the last game as well. Where has this guy been? He didn't invade my stuff. He's still level 9. Same as last time I saw him. I'll fucking Jace. Come back. Okay. That's that missed. He doesn't have his big ult, so... And I didn't reach. No, dude. That's the one that should have hit. That's unfortunate. I don't really want it back. And he should be super dead as well. Get him! No. Man. Okay. Taunt kind of fucked me up there. Another good taunt. I mean, what are these taunts? Literally all 1 HP. See, he's going for it. He should have it too. I don't really know what to build. I guess I'll just go for an early Nemean. This isn't really a spectral game. It's not really a I don't think I want to breastplate. I could do Stampede actually instead. Stampede would be very nice this game. I already forgot I said I was gonna go board this game. Guess I'll grab that after Nemean. I mean, we gotta split our paths here, boys. Cover our exits. Also, that I think does a lot of damage. Fire should be free. Like, solo so far ahead, we can do it pretty fast. I'm pretty sure I can solo zone. Just gotta be wary of the taunt. Come here. I'll be aggressive while my ult is up. I'll just buy this instead for now. I don't think I need Nemean, man. They're not hitting me anyway. They're just running away. This way I can chase. I mean, one of the biggest issues with Yorm, arguably, is that he can't use the wind sprites in like the same way, which just isn't as good. Because like being able to jump over walls and stuff is obviously just an advantage. He can't fucking follow half the people he's chasing because of it. They're fucking everywhere. He truly is just the biggest stand and fight character in the entire game. It's the only thing he does. Hate the wind jump. Yeah, the wind sprites are pretty commonly disliked on like a higher level so far. We're never speaking about this game. I wasn't watching you, man. At least we won, right? I was watching Me the Horse. Yeah. Yeah, I know that feeling. And I'm streaming it to everyone too. I'm a pretty low confidence guy. It's why you often hear me like really down talk myself when I'm having a bad day, because I'm just like I'm so fucking shit. Like why am I doing this shit? I know I'm better than this. All that stuff. I'm pretty low confidence in the first place. I fully get it. I'm very hard on myself. Ugh. Sorry. You're cripple. Oh, pre-beats ain't nothing. Oof. His name should be okay. Get the tower, man. Holy shit. Uh-oh. That's the first pre-beats I fucking... Well, not pre-beats, I guess. So, Fred just wasted his too, but... There's not a lot of pre-beatsing in this so far. Like, when knowing tier was probably going in. Old men reaction time in this tournament. Like, legitimately. A lot of wasted bans here. Double Osiris, double Aladdin. Let's swap it up. No more Yorm for now. I'll do Mordred. Maybe I do Conch on Mordred as well. Oh, I mean that's fair. I mean Sprint is so broken, bro. That's so easy to miss. Definitely not on me. What is this? I mean, not a bad like bait or try to bait, but that was rough for the ADC to lose that much HP just from tacking up the gold fury there. The most Sapman call. Oh, oh, didn't die. I don't know why I was looking at myself in the crowd, man. I'm playing. I'm on the stage. Where am I? Am I in the crowd? Oh shit, I see a Gunter on the side. Is this a bigger queue or is this just Giga cooked? Is this just Gunter versus the world? Or am I stacked on? Ugh, oh, so for yawning, guys. I'm tired today. They have a lot of shit to beat in this game, man. It's Gunter versus the world, from what I can see. Don't know these three. I've seen this guy a few times. We'll see, though. He's my lane opponent. I don't remember whether he's good or not. And I somewhat kind of have seen my whole team before. Recognize the names, at least. Oh, this guy is known for Smite 1 stuff. Gotcha. Yeah, we'll see what he does this game. He is against my top pick. I should definitely win against Hercules. I just have to be careful in the, like, level 2-ish stage. Once I hit level 3, I should just win the matchup. But I cannot make... I just cannot get fucked over by his 1-2. Okay, should be getting be in a good spot now, but he doesn't really look like he wants to fight anyway, so... Sorry, buddy, you got some minions as well. Didn't even need to hurry out of that. Maybe this time I should maybe just not walk up. Dude, I keep underestimating the range on his 2. Okay, I'll take that one on me. My bad. I like starting my games today with a disadvantage. Can't secure my own blue buff. It's alright. Give him some false confidence, make him play aggressive. Sounds good. Jungler isn't right. Excuse me, so this should be free for me. I love getting rock sets early. This early stats actually make a difference, so. And he dies if I hit that, but I'm dog shit, so I missed it. I got their blue Wukong, you can get mine if you want. I'm gonna stick around till I can finish up my devos here. Oh, the rocks just spawned? Fuck. That sucks. I don't think he did them in time. Can I hurry to them? Herc's big form still fucking hurts, man. He fucking hurts. He does also have a full item, just like me. Pendulum Herc is scary. He is kind of just getting team diff, though. I'm actually struggling against him alone right now. Where's Thor? That's the support. I did not realize they even had Thor. I am glad that I did not group then. I had no idea they had Thor. Probably needs to sunder it actually, but that's fine. I guess he just backed. That's so weird. I was gonna bait him. But if I landed on him right there, I don't think I would have won the fight. Like he might have clapped me before I was able to wait for my team. Didn't really have my items online yet. Okay, he's still here. Good. Wait for his big form to go away before I fight him again. It's just the rocks. I really want to invade his blue, but no reason to overextend, especially when the rocks are up. Actually, I'll keep pushing. Rocks. Must grab rocks. Shut up, Mordred. Holy shit. He's so cartoon villainy in this skin. I really love how it looks, but I'm not a huge fan of the voice pack. Okay, bro. Of course, Thor is there at the perfect second. Holy moly, bro. God damn it. I was... My team was fighting on right. I was just getting bored. Decided to see if I could do something by myself, and no. No, you cannot. The support is here. Uh-oh. We're overextending a little bit here, boys. Somehow no one is dead yet. That's actually crazy how both of them got out of that. No. Why was he so low too? Did he get absolutely screwed up by the back camps? Why was he like 60%? I mean, I'll take it. I'll take some more kills. I want speed buff, man. When does it spawn? I'm so tempted just to wait for it. I'm gonna lose my tower for it though. I think they're okay, surely. It's also definitely a board game for me just because of Baron. My little baby dash will not get away from that ult. What's that purple circle under your minions? It is my second item, right here. I split my lifesteal with allies near me. They were just all here. Baron ult down. Thor in the air. Right there is exactly why I need boar. Perfect example. If I have it, I don't die. And that's a great thing, I think, for me. Butts ult. You heal minions, you do. But I mean, it's pretty small in the minions, I would say. Well, and realistically, I don't know why I thought for a second. My brain went into Wukong mode. I was gonna bird. But I don't really think the heal makes a difference on minions. You know, it's mainly in a team fight where you get a bunch of shit off. Like one big ult will just fucking heal my team so much. I'm the one with Sunder. I guess I'll have to stick around. But I actually really wanted to go and defend. Nope, don't want to back yet. Now I need to make extra sure, especially with Dagger, that I'm not just getting gipped by a Baron ult. That would be bad. That's a very easy way to die for me. It's hitting the ward as well. Don't wear a ward, I got you. If you take damage, I'll be there for you. I mean, on her is 2 and 10. There is definitely a chance that he has entered this game. Bot speeds. Well, Dagger ran out, so we just needed to group. I'm not really sure why we so split, even though Kepi did just get caught. Bots is walking up, he doesn't have beats. Didn't even need to use my big ult. I was just trying to use my root, but I guess it upgraded. Because that just saved him instead. He would have just been dead. But oh well. Yeah, he also did not really play support, I guess. He just went for a normal solo-like build. New it's probably Gunter, I guess. Let's pick a new one now. Well, I'll play some Baron actually. I'll do Baron. I'm gonna need Changa for when people pick Nuwa. Just so I can counter the ult. Or Ravana. Just give me one of them. I'll play it. They're both fun in solo. I really do hope that one of the next few characters, outside of the ones we already know, that are characters that I can actually play. Because the next two are not really going to be something for me, I think. I've never been a big Asset player, never really been a big Sylvanas player. Oh, beats, ult. Oh my god. It's a deep dive for a chuck. Dude, the sprints everywhere. This meta, we didn't really know it, I guess, better back then, but this meta sucks. There are sprints everywhere, breaking the game, giving you haste and fatalis effects. They have 3 of them on their team. Like, look at that. We only have 1 on our ADC, but I guess it's because they have tiers, so we just have a lot of CC, so we have to go beats, and some of our characters need blink as well. That was crazy. Do I need beats, man? I probably do. They have a lot of fucking CC, but I really want Aegis this game. Can I get away with it? Ah, fuck it. I can probably get away with it. Surely. Potentially. Do I win my early game? Probably win level 3. Anubis is not a bad matchup for me. It's actually quite good. It is pretty scary at level 5 though. He's all kind of counters mine. Do you still talk to any of that roster? No, not really. I mean, most of them don't really play the game anymore. Lobster will sometimes pop into my chat, and I'll see him in other like my chats here and there. We'll say hi. So like I still like we're not on bad terms by any means, but yeah, we don't really have contact anymore. It do be like that when you aren't in a team anymore. You just kind of part ways for none other particular reason but that. I mean, back then when we split up as well, I mean they went to different teams. I quit the game, so I kind of just went and did my own thing for a while, but like they literally, had a different team to play with. There wasn't really much time to talk with many other people. Gotta fucking practice, 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 boys. I don't have my Baron Brew. I keep forgetting about this shit, man. Fuck, man. I'm literally missing an ability. And it's making all the difference as a result. I would have kill potential here if I just had my fourth ability. Toes? Toes behind us, that's all I heard. Just running around the wave. Don't hit me, please! Don't! Just waiting for my abilities to come back up. Okay, so I need you, but first I also really want you. So let's do that. Seems good. Fuck. Sorry, bro, I'm just gonna double E key him. Oh shit. Blue should be up as well. You can evade it. I'll just do my own. And if Anubis shows up, he's still level 3, so. Did Anubis beat second actually? He might be a Snek right now. Guess I can test. At least if I didn't miss everything, I could. Baron just feels like a 5 ability character when you have Lifebinder online. With the aspect too. Because you have the pot, you have Lifebinder. On top of the rest. Like, if you get hit by this shit, have fun, bro. You're getting so much shit in the face. Low ability characters into Baron are so unfun. But it also makes him really good into someone like Osiris, who is a menace in a lot of the games. He's so good into Osiris. When my ult's back up, I'm super down to dive this. Run, little dog, run. Okay, I'll take beats. Get him, Sippy. Kind of poor Gunter. Like, he's just getting so stacked on. I guess his elo is so high right now that he's getting absolute destroyed here. Not really much he can do. But that is exactly how I've fallen a lot as well in my games. Just fucking sit and do nothing. You can't do anything. Your whole team's just dying around you. Hello, because me. Good to see you. That's how I can maybe make him fight. Just waste my abilities on nothing. Alright, fuck it. I gotta go back. I have so much gold on me. Let's actually get a Chronos Pendant online. I think I'm gonna go Brawlers this game. Actually, I already regret that. I should go Regrowth. Always Regrowth. Be speedy. Okay. Yeah, this game is very over. It's just gone through it versus the world in this one, it felt like. I was just lucky that Anubis was picked into me. I just felt like playing Baron for once. And while I do think this matchup can be tough for Baron in some cases, because ultimately Anubis ult kind of counters mine, so he can just always respond to my ult with that. Doesn't change the fact that if he ever gets hit by my 3, he will either hit to beats, or he will just take a 3, like a 1 and 2 in the face, and potentially a Baron pot. So I still think that matchup very much goes in Baron's favor. I'll ban the Suku, because I might be against the guy that only plays Suku. We're actually quite far ahead in this game. Why are we so far ahead? Just gold? Like 2 kill difference. We're just farming better, I guess. Good beats as well from him. Joe, this spread is so dog shit. The fuck am I watching? No, but like, imagine you're trying to run away, but you're getting fatalis by a Chuck, basically. What the fuck, bro? A full tank Chuck, fatalising the fuck out of you. Man, what did my team do in the back, huh? That was a good rewind to get behind my enemy, the enemy line. And he has sprint up again, bro. Oh. Fred's doing a good job of just keeping them away from this. They're hawk stun, bro. Oh, he caught the shield. Is that tanky Nemesis, actually? What is Fred building? Oh, he does have Urchin as well. Okay. Alright, man, that worked out quite well for us, despite it looking pretty grim. That was Smite 2. The 5-gen would have been done in 5 seconds. Not true, but we would have had no more towers left. What am I against? Wait. What am I against? Neath. Okay. Okay. Sure. That's fine. Boring, but fine. Miss AMC. I don't. Fuck that character. I never liked playing him. I don't like dealing with him. He can fuck off. Maybe I would enjoy him now, but I tend to just not like characters very much that I can also put into solo. There are exceptions, like Honor, for example. I love Honor. Still not the Smite 2 version very much compared to the Smite 1 version, but Honor is still Honor. Oh boy, what's happening over there? In the old days when I was good at the game, I was putting every character into solo. In the old days, when I was considered good, I would put every character into solo. But then people got better at the game, and those characters only got worse and worse to play in solo. Dude, I love playing Hebo, like Loki, Ra, all of those types of characters. But my god, did we just reach a point where you can't do that anymore? People know, like, mobility has become such an easy thing to punish. People just got better at the game. And we don't have sprint anymore. That takes you out of every scenario, and combat blink that lasts, like, just takes you to the other side of the lane. Yeah. Heard this aspect is broken. It is. It's not broken to the point where you cannot deal with it at all, but it is. It has some very broken parts of it. Puns intended, because it's Osiris, you know. It is broken because it scales with protections as well as int. So you could just build really tanky and still be an absolute monster and almost one-shotting people. But it needs a few levels for that to happen. Like, I'll probably just lose this early game because Neath will just outclear me. And this aspect doesn't really have fantastic clear. He just used his whole kit though, so they should be free. Like, give me 2 items, and that's when I would say the broken parts of him start coming in. And around of late. He's dead there if I have fucking Blink. He's ballsy. Don't think I can test rocks for now, unfortunately. Is that solo? Dude, are these solo kills? No. Doesn't seem like it. Good. Okay, bro. What an incredibly unfortunate turn of events. All because I got stunned by the blue buff, man. I thought I had it because my auto damage is so shit. Didn't fucking finish it off in time. That's so unfortunate. Fuck. Hey, Seagull. And Winari, good to see you. Ugh. It doesn't have an escape, but you can just go boar and then you have an escape, so. Not having an escape in Smite 2 as a frontline doesn't really mean much. Items can make up for it. Yeah, This isn't really good. I should have just stayed on my wave. I should win this lane very hard eventually anyway. I'll win this lane regardless. I think I just help the other lanes, to be honest. He sits in tower them most of the time anyway. They're all low. That's really unfortunate. The fucking Neath hold as well again. I'll probably go board third. I think I need it in this. So once I finish with Glad Shield, I will go board. Mid is missing. I think I'm just falling back. This is mega broken. It helps being into a backliner, I'll say that much. Because they can't do much. If he ever backflips, he's dead. But yes, I mean, the damage output with the 1 is incredibly high. And that won't stop, because it scales off of protections as well, so the rest of my build will be full tank, and I'm still going to do that amount of damage. Overall, in terms of percentage and how much I will deal to them, it will go down a little bit. But not by a huge amount. He sucks at killing these, though. I'll fucking say that. Just comparatively to the ones that are actually good at killing them. Did see that Needhold. Dude, man. Neath beats AoE ult. I need this item online. This really sucks. Might lose my tower here, because there's a fucking Minotaur. It's so tragic. I need to get this gold. Guys, give us Hunter. You have to CC him. That's nice. Well done. Because if we lose the tier 1 here, as well as my tier 1 tower, we're so fucking cooked. Give me that movement speed. I want to dive him again. Just want to run at him. Great legs. Smite 2, please. This might have been a blink game. If I blink in this matchup, he just dies every time he backflips. Fucked up, but then he fucked up. I feel like I need to get a tower for this. I don't know what Kukulkan is, but... Do I risk it for the biscuit? Even though the biscuit really isn't worth it. Okay, Smith. I'm going for it. What do you think about the Moonlight thing next patch? I think it's pretty cool. I'm not in the haters club. I want to see it in action and play with it first, before I judge it into oblivion. I do think it has a pretty cool concept. Whether it will be fun and balanced, that remains to be seen. There we go. One more wave. How's it actually going? I haven't really looking. Fenrir's doing well. Rest, doing fine. Tell me these are up. It's my last chance. For fire spawns in 20. Need his CPing, guys. I cannot be there. It's a 4v4 fight, so this really sucks. I missed like a fucking idiot. Oh my god. That really sucks. I don't know how that went as bad as it did for my team. Thing is, this aspect will not be good from behind, so... Fucking Gip shield as well. Actually, the more I look at our comp is pretty bad. We don't have actual initiate. With Osiris and Ephro. I don't really know what to do here. It just feels like we can't fight back. I mean, can you guys just not fight and right? Why are we not grouping and fighting instead? And Giannis, you need to stop dying. You're the safest character in the entire game. Play safe. It is definitely a mid-div. Like, I don't know how Giannis is dying in these fights. Rama's building crit as well. He's not going to be online for a fucking year. Because he's also going for an old build. This will be good if he finishes it. But now he's going Titan Spain too. He's playing for the long game, which is not something that's good for us right now when we're already getting so shit on. Also, how the fuck didn't I get the Wheelix? How did my ult not finish her off? This game is also why I haven't played much Osiris recently, because it is definitely OP, but he's not a good solo carry. He can just go in, one-shot someone quick, but then he needs to go out. He can't really keep going. He needs, like, he's so cooldown reliant. He is fun though, but you also just have situations where, like, if Gip goes on me, I can't really do much to peel him off either. Afro is probably dead. Can we get something out of it though? Bro, get these fucking things off me, man. I don't think this matters. Like, what is even fucking happening here? Maybe if Afro plays with me. I don't even think they're on gold. Right. What am I going next? They do have like 1 CC initiations, so I could maybe go for a Spirit Rope or something like that. Actually, no. I'm gonna go Magi's. I'm definitely also done rotating. I'm sitting the fuck back and I'm farming now. Bro, they're so deep, man. We just can't punish it. CP, when we fight, can you just sit on me? That might go better. I don't think so either, but if anyone's gonna kill them, it's probably me at this point. Yeah, just get out. My bad, I guess. I was hoping maybe I could just get a Snek. I would just went for desperate play, I guess. It's over anyway. Oh. Mental could maybe have worked as well. I just definitely did something where I could survive some of the CC they have. I'd rather just go for a... Oh, we're really going for the Artemis who ulted. Okay. Oh, what the... What a roll! Holy shit. Yeah. Unfortunate. Didn't really matter after all. We just didn't have an ADC in the mid. Somehow we're playing bad on Giannis and we're going crit Rama. I mean, Finra played well, I suppose, for the most part, but I guess he was struggling in this game too. That's very low jungle damage for sure. It's even lower than their Artemis, who also felt like I didn't do anything. Unfortunate. Yeah. Osiris still fun. Would it have mattered if I played something else? No, probably not. But yeah, it is what it is. You didn't my prime today? No. No, I'm always going like debating whether I want to or not because obviously I want to play some competitive stuff, but I don't think I want to play on any servers, man. It's so unenjoyable for me. I always get, excuse me, I always get the worst fucking servers or like super high ping. I'm not one of the lucky ones who just gets like maybe like 120 where it's somewhat playable. No, I'm pretty sure I'm getting between 150 and 200. If some friends like asked me in terms of like also a potential team where I think we could maybe go a bit further than just one game, I'm not expecting to win more than one game at max or at best. But I'd be down to play with them. Like if Wolfie asked or Adapting asked or whatever the fuck, the people that I play with like regularly, I'll be down. I think it'll be fun. When I did those EU games with ESL games, I mean, I wish you could see ping in game actually. It would help a lot, but yeah, it's not fun to play on high ping. You just feel disabled at that point. I think Adapting is streaming his My Prime, isn't he? Let's see. He's in a 6-minute game. Is his queue better than mine, actually? So it would be a long time to wait, and he has My Prime, I guess. Yeah, I don't think he can play more than... When does My Prime start? Does anyone know? Because I guess I would like to maybe wait for his queue to see if I can get him some better games. Right now, it literally just feels like me versus Gonturin, and whoever gets the better team wins. Well, actually, so far it's been whoever gets this guy, because he's good in jungle, and then he just kind of rolls the game. It's in 16 minutes? Okay, never mind. then I guess I'll probably just do one last game then, because then literally all the good players will be leaving the queue for Smite Prime. That sounds fine with me. I'll do a shorter stream for once. My addiction has been rough. Been playing so much Smite recently. Oh, I guess this is a better queue then, because now we're on the same team. Who's on the enemy team then? Oh, someone else banned Bologna. Nice. What am I banning then? I'll ban the Suku in case that guy's still in the queue, just to make it a little harder for him. It helps. If you play even more Smite, it's like drinking the counter beer after a hangover. Yeah, that sounds so motivating. I should definitely keep going. W decision. I can also just watch the league tournament, the World Championship. I still gotta catch up on the VODs, because I keep streaming Smite myself and I don't have time to watch the VODs. So I'm hoping for a good game here. Who do I play? I kind of want to play Yorm again. I don't know why I'm so into Yorm right now. The snake, man, the big snake is so attractive. You know? I'm going back to the big snake. And it will not be impressive, because I'm mostly left-clicking. I feel like Yorm is a big lane bully, but then he just doesn't do anything else, pretty much. He's just a big obstacle. That's actually what he is. I try to play him that way too. Like full late game, I will just stand in front of the ADC with my Nemean and breathe on him. That's all I'm doing. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it doesn't. But the one time it does happen, it's a W moment. But yeah, he's just a lane bully. I just find him fun right now. I'll abuse it while I find it fun. It has been a little while since I actually really enjoyed a character that I just actually feel like playing. Not to say I don't enjoy the Smite 2 gods. I'm just tired of the current roster because it's been the same for solo for so long. Solo has just been the same for a little while. And the ones I do enjoy are just not good. Like I would like to play Merc in solo, but what happens if I play Merc in solo? I'm gonna get fucking shit on. Oh my god, I keep yawning. I don't know why I'm so tired today. Is this a Sunder game? I'm gonna say yes, because I get the vibe. Sometimes my areas go blink. I'll do Sunder. Make sure we have one for late game. I'm assuming Roxas is just really high on SR, because otherwise, like, it's kind of crazy to me that both me and Gunter are on the same team here. I do think his team here is just generally more like evened out, where ours is probably pretty high and then maybe some lower ones. We'll see what happens though. You never know with Smite 2. Some really good players have pretty low SR. Some not great players have some pretty high SR sometimes. So psychological impact when you're grouped and up he engages, it always feels like, oh my fucking god, we die. I mean, yeah, it's not, yeah, sure. That's how all the pro players feel too. We're so scared that you're mult. Nothing's more scary than a big snake. What was Yorm's dance? Yorm's dance in Smite 1. I didn't play him enough. I don't think I had the dance. If I keep playing Yorm, though, I'll have to try one game just to go really tanky. And just see how it feels to, Fuck. Should I level... What? Actually, what? I'm kinda confuzzled here. How did he actually kill me? Did I just take a fuck ton of minion damage? Huh. Well, at least I didn't miss any of the wave. I think. I'm confuzzled after that. That's a huge death, actually. In this matchup, I think I'll just rush the Mystical Mail, because he really wants to fight early. I'll get Conch second. Why you spam Yorm all day? I mean, I just played something else, but I get you. And right now, just because I enjoy him. That is the main reason. I am having fun on this character today. I started playing a bit like last night, I think. A little bit last night, and I was like, wait, this is actually really fun. I kind of really enjoy it. Okay. I was really hoping that someone was coming to me, but okay. Low key. Alt. Select my pots. That was unfortunate. I was hoping I could catch the Thor there. So the Merc go towards the red, then just turn around and go the other way. Suggesting something? Oh, he left mid or dry. Oh, that's what he meant. Gotcha. You might be right about that. My solo kill. I even caught his hammer and everything, man. I played that perfectly. Yeah, I actually think it's fine if Merc gets it. And I'm sure I could have caught him anyway, because your molds is dog shit to fucking hit. And I probably would have missed all of them anyway, because they're so easy to juke. Haha. Really did wish I got that kill from before. That would have helped out so much. Well done. He's actually out. Anyway, I gotta stop trolling. My lane is the only one that's not winning necessarily. Actually, am I winning? No. After that kill, I'm behind, so I'm no longer winning. I'm hitting gold again, though. Yeah, they already got it. Dude, they did that so fast. What the fuck? Don't have protection against her yet. Ouch. Geez, that bar damage? Yeah, I mean, if you time it well, she will still just almost one-shot you. If it didn't have so much HP, I would have gotten basically one-shot there. Yeah, don't do your wave here, buddy. Get out. Oh, of course. It's building very tanky as well. It's probably just a full tank Thor as well. But that also means he won't really do that much damage. Oh, this is up. Fucking hell, bro. I suck ass. It's official. I am dog water. He's 1 HP. He's gone on speed. That sucks. Actual item diff. Had sanguine, he dies. Bari hurts so much, bro. I hate that I have to build hybrid into it. She hurts so much. Let's get Nemean now. It's either Nemean or I get Boar, because Boar would actually help as well. I'm getting Boar. I would have had her way before I even got all the way up there if I had Boar to chase. So fuck it. I need that chase ability so badly. I also really fucked up in that fight as a whole because I was thinking I was gonna use my ult. It has like that new effect where it will slam anything in between your last spot and your new spot. So I was trying to kill her with that and resulted in just putting way too much distance between myself and her because he juked the other way. And so I just fucked myself on that chase. Was Concho strong on Yorm? Because he has split scaling. Well, he doesn't have split scaling, I guess, but your strength with the autos and then your all your abilities are int. So you just benefit very well from getting both stats. I only today started using it though. I was using Golden Blade until someone pointed out that it might be better to go Conch. And I tried it and I like it more. They were right. Conch is good on like someone like Zeus as well for the same reason. Because the autos will scale with strength while the all your abilities scale with int, so My team couldn't really decide on that one. Thor might be coming, boys. Keep an eye out. Yeah, for the most part, Conch is an item that is very nice if you're planning on using both a lot. But like some characters don't really necessarily like they're just better leaning into one specific rather than going hybrid. Zeus is kind of the only one other than Yorm. Maybe Ama as well. Maybe not anymore. They nerfed Ama's in scaling a lot, but Ama used to be a big like conch user as well. Some characters use it really well, but for the most part, like Hyris have more and more with time killed going hybrid because they keep nerfing scalings. So yeah. Not to mention it's a hybrid item, so for the most part, you want to build it on a soul laner. And most soul laners that are good right now are, either full hybrids or like not full hybrid. They're either like full damage or like full tank, and you don't really want to go hybrid as much, and then conch doesn't make sense. It's a fun item though. I like some niche items. Like I don't think they need to change it in any way either. I think it's really cool to have some items that are only good on some characters. Phoenix Shield is another like interesting one. It's very much a Mordred item. Granted, you don't really buy it as much right now, but that item was like built for Mordred. Burial done. I'm doing Genji's, I think. I want way more protection into this Bari. She's actually just my main issue. Like her and Loki, but I should have enough for Loki now. Realistically, I want to go Oni Hunters here, but there's a chance if we win next fight we can end the game, so I would rather just build a full item. Loki is 1 HP. Damn. I just went all in for fighting there because I saw my team was just, yeah, going in. Oof. Okay. Titan's 1 HP. Probably could have just ended. I think minions might end. I was going to just ult in and bomb the Titan. I actually was, but then it looked like Gunter wanted to set up for like a potential gank or whatever. So I was like, sure, why not? Let's try it. And then Merc just did it in the back anyway. All right, I'll stop here. I think I'll make it a shorter one today. I've had some fun games, despite playing Yorm half of them, which is weird. But yeah, look at all these Yorm games. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a one trick now. Actually, a one trick. Oops. Yeah, I think Yorm is interesting. I don't think he's complete shit late game, but I do think he's hard to use. Like he's definitely like an all or nothing character because you cannot ult out in a team fight. You're not tanky enough to do that. So you have to just go all in. So I'm always going for this type of build that will just try and do that. Where I can just one shot the ADC in those 5 or 4 seconds when Nemean is active. That's all I can try and do. So anyway, guys, really appreciate you stopping by as usual, and I will